Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope you're doing really well in this moment in time, and that whenever and wherever you happen to be, whether you are on the plains, on a prairie, in a pasture, or in purgatory, or in paradise, I hope that whenever and wherever you happen to be, that you are standing tall and standing firm, knowing who you truly are. Now, your identity will change over time as you learn more about yourself, but your answers should only come from within. They shouldn't come from somebody else, not a stranger on YouTube, not someone you follow on Instagram, not your neighbor, not your mother, not your best friend. This is very important. Your identity is yours and yours alone. And a lot of times we tend to allow other people to define us. Maybe we're just kind of going along with life, floating along, and people go, "Oh my God, you're such a card." And then you go, "Yeah, I am such a card." And you allowed that person to define you because it sounded kind of cool. I want to be a card. Who doesn't want to be a card? You know, you're playing with the Queen of Hearts. I mean, you know, that's a card, right? Or maybe I'm the Joker. No. I mean, we have our whole lives been told who we are by other people, and sometimes we buy their stories, and sometimes we get completely perplexed by the stories they tell. Have you ever told the truth and been accused of being a liar? That's an example. Have you ever been called a cheater, but you didn't cheat? You know, narcissists do that to us. They gaslight us. They'll be cheating on us, and then they will tell us that we're horrible people. We must be cheating. Then they'll look for the evidence to prove it, and it'll be flimsy at best because it's not happening. You know, and so then they try to define us, and we just stand in our power and say, no, but I think I'm leaving now. And some of us stay, and some of us have reasons to stay that are literally having nothing to do with the narcissist. Or sometimes it's because we don't have enough money to leave. We don't have enough money to have first, last, and cleaning deposit to put on a new apartment. Some of us have children. Some of us have disabilities, or we keep hoping the other person will get better. I mean, reasons for staying in narcissistic, abusive relationships, they're all very similar, but they all vary. You know, we're all individuals. But a lot of people will try to define you. They'll try to tell you what's best for you. That's another one. I'm your mother. I know what's best. Do you, though? You know, I know what's best for my kids when they were toddlers, but now that my oldest is an adult, she's finding her own way in life. She knows what's best for her, and I trust her to make her own decisions, and it doesn't matter if I trust her or not, because her life is not mine. Her life is hers. And I love her all the time, tell her I love her all the time. And that's all I can do, you know. I'm here when she needs me to send her money, buy her shoes, buy her pizza, you know. I'm here if she wants to talk. But her life is her own, you know. And I allow that. But I've had many, many times in my life in which people try to tell me who I am or who I am not. I had a boyfriend once tell me, God, you're such a bitch. And then he burst out laughing. And I started laughing because I knew he was being ironic. And I'm like, I can't believe you just said that to me. It's one of the funniest things you've ever said to me. And the reason why it was funny is because of the way he said it. And he said, you know, it's funny because you're literally the sweetest person I've ever met in my life. Like, I've never met anyone nicer than you, right? So when he said it, it was just like totally out of the blue. And then he burst out laughing and I burst out laughing. Well, yeah, right. I'm like just such a terrible person. And it was funny. It was funny. And I remember at the end of my last marriage that ended, my ex-husband, he was still my husband at the time, called me a bitch in front of the kids in a very mean, horrible way. You know, and it was like the venom. I'm not going to repeat the way he said it because it was very negatively charged. It was like, ugh. Yeah, it was just, oh my God, you know, like I'm literally not, you know. He accused me of being a bitch because I was under contract to get a screenplay written by a specific day. Under legal contract, under legal obligation to get it done. And I'd been waiting for my writing partner to finish his half, and he wrote about 20% and I wrote about 80%, which is very unfair because the manager that was going to sell the script for us was going to give him more money, but I wrote more because he had a writing credit to his name in Hollywood and I did not. So it was like a very frustrating situation. And I had to rewrite all of his parts because they weren't funny and it was a comedy script. And then I had to write my parts. You know, so I'm writing my parts, I'm perfecting my parts, I'm, you know, carrying my weight. And when I had to get it in. And when I sent it to the script reader, she had a bunch of complaints. And maybe 2 of them were very, very mild, like grammatical errors or spelling errors in the section that I wrote. And like 8 of the complaints were in the sections he wrote. So I had to rewrite all of his stuff too. And when I asked him to do it, he was like, oh, I think I'm done. I'm over it. And I'm like, oh my God, we're under obligation, like legal contract. We could be sued for, you know, breach. Like, come on. And so I ended up working on New Year's Eve. You know, we had toddlers at home, you know, little kids. Like, I think my one son was, or my youngest son was like maybe, I don't know, were they like 3 and 5 maybe? Actually, so not toddlers exactly, but maybe 3 and 5 or 4 and 6. It wasn't very, they weren't very old. I think like maybe 4 and 6, I think were their ages, or maybe even 5 and 7, maybe, not even. But I know that my kids were little at the time, and I'm trying to scramble to get this done. I was stressed out, and I said, it's like I did everything, made all the changes, and my computer did some flip-floppy thing, and I lost 20 pages worth of work, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to spend another 4 hours rewriting every freaking word from memory. And I can't believe that just happened because I wanted to spend time with my husband and my kids. But I told him what happened. He said he understood, and no problem at all. And he proceeded to drink 2 full bottles of wine by himself during those 4 hours. And he got more and more belligerent, more and more rude, and then he called me a bitch in front of the kids. Instead of understanding what, legal contract means. And that I was stressed out, instead of trying to comfort me and come to my aid and being a decent person. It was like one of the rare moments. He didn't normally, that was like the first time actually. It was like maybe, 10 years into our marriage, or 11. I don't even remember now, God. I honestly don't remember. And it's funny because yesterday was my wedding anniversary. 23 years ago we met, and 22 years ago we married yesterday. And he's been dead for 10 years. But it's like so strange because, 2 totally different men calling me the same word, and how the way that the word was defined in that moment, totally different energy. One made me laugh, and the other one cut me like a knife, stabbed me in the gut and the heart. And it was one of those moments that made me feel like I think I'm gonna guard myself to the point of not tapping into the love I hold for this man anymore. I'm not gonna go to that well. I'm not gonna feel those emotions anymore. And it closed me off completely. And it was just like, I'm not what you said, not gonna allow you to define me, and I'm also not going to have an emotional connection to you anymore, It was just one of those, it just absolutely cut me off, And that was one of those moments. And then I was thinking about other times in which people tried to define me. A friend of mine who would call me every single day for years and years and years and complain about her love life and ask me the same questions practically every day, the same exact conversation. And after, 10 years of this, I finally said, I've got something I want to run by you. For the first time in 10 years, I flipped the roles to see what would happen. So instead of being a loving, supportive friend and counselor for free to this person, I said, I think I'm having a problem in my marriage, and I wanted to ask you what you think about this situation, when this thing happened. And so I described what it was. And she just came all kinds of unglued because I flipped the script on her. That this is not a one-way street anymore, and I allowed her to just railroad me, basically. She was 10 years younger than me, so I was kind of like a big sister, in some ways like a mom. And I just kind of stopped wanting to be defined by that role that she chose for me, and I didn't really choose for me, but whatever. So that was another moment that was kind of a defining, like, I'm standing up for myself in a way that, like the first time, that I stood up and I was like, I'm a writer, I'm a screenwriter, I'm under obligation to get this script in on a deadline. So I'm sorry if you don't understand that. I'm sorry if you think I'm a bitch, but I'm actually a person of integrity. And because my computer screwed up, now I have an extra 4 hours worth of work, which I didn't plan. What I had planned was finishing, around 6 o'clock in the evening, making dinner for my children and my husband, and having a pleasant evening and ringing in the new year together. That was my plan. And I had everything worked out. And then the computer issue, and oh no, crap. Well, you know what? Man makes plans and God laughs. So shit happens. But he didn't understand that. So that was like one moment where I just was like, I am a screenwriter. I am a person of integrity. I stick to my word, and I meet my deadlines, right? And so that was like one. And then this other, where other people are trying to define me by using me as a doormat to listen to their problems. But the moment I have a problem, they run for the freaking hills, and complain. And the same person she and I didn't talk for like a year or something, or 2 years. And I was on Skype, and she called me, and she asked me a question that threw me for a loop. I had broken my leg. I was in pain. I was on painkillers. And she says, where's this relationship really headed? And I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. She's like, what can you offer me? And I'm like, what do you mean? I haven't talked to you in almost 2 fucking years. So what? I don't even know. And she's like, I don't think we could go anywhere in this relationship. And I was like, well, what the hell? Don't you want to know what the hell I've been doing for 2 years? And she said, oh, I read your little blurbs on Facebook. Yeah, and then she judged me for taking the government money, the government benefits, to raise my kids. And she said, I know you've been traipsing around the world with your very little meager amount of money and not really making any money for yourself. So, and then she said I was using a dead man. And I was just like, I don't even know the fact. She's like, you didn't even earn that money. I'm like, I was married to this asshole for 13 years. I earned every fucking penny. He wasn't an asshole for 11 years, but the last 2 years, sure as shit, made up for it. So it was like one of those moments where she tried to define me and pigeonhole me, and then she tried to shame me for having been a traditional mother and wife, and then tried to shame me furthermore for taking the death benefit money that was actually owed to me. I mean, he was under legal obligation to give me alimony to raise the kids. And when he died, there was no more co-parenting, so I got his money. And the government said that I deserve his money. But there were conditions. If I work, I lose the money. So all the jobs that were available at that time would have given me less money than I was making, and I would have had to pay more money than I was making to raise my kids, and an additional $1,000 just for driving my car back and forth between the two situations. So I would have had to I was making like $2,000 a month, and I would have had to give up $2,000 a month in order to make $6,000 a month and never see my kids. It made no damn sense. So I just was like, screw this shit. I'm moving to a foreign country, and the kids and I are going to learn Spanish. So that's what we did. So that's and that was a decision I made. And I think I made the right decision. But, and other things happened. But I tried to explain to her what I was doing or what had happened. And I wanted to tell her some of the spiritual experiences that I did not talk about on Facebook. And she was just like, we're going nowhere in this relationship. Meaning I didn't give her the answers she was seeking, that she was too lazy to look inside for. And I know because after she and I didn't talk for 2 years, during that time, she went to see Abraham. And twice I was drawn to 2 different people's videos on YouTube. And even the titles of the videos were totally different. And twice I listened to Abraham talk, the lady who channels the group of beings, Abraham. And both of these times that I was drawn to this particular day, it was my friend asking Abraham the same effing question that she had been asking me for like a dozen years. I'm like, oh my God. So she went to a greater authority, spent a bunch of money flying over to Florida, and Abraham gave her the same exact question, or the same exact answer that I'd been giving her for like 12 years. It was hilarious. I was like, what the hell? Anyway, but she tried to define me in a bunch of different ways, and when she realized that she couldn't make me into the image she wanted me to be in, we're no longer friends, which is like crazy. I mean, I've known her for over 20 years. It's just crazy, and even to this day, she's like now chicken shit to call me or write me or anything. And she will write my kids and say, your mom's never gonna talk to me again, is she? And they're just like, I don't know, freaking ask her. I'm like, what the hell is that? But she's one that people that try to define me a lot that just wouldn't. And I know that my true friends that were really good and decent human beings and good friends to me never tried to define me, but they allowed me to be who I am. And if I want to reinvent myself, they watched and encouraged me to reinvent myself as something else. And then they'd watch and encourage me as yet again I went ahead and reinvented myself again. Like my friend Amber, she allowed me to be who I was going to be forever. Like whoever I wanted to be. Like when I was wearing, hot pink clothes everywhere and just being very super girly and feminine, she thought I was adorable. Oh, she's so cute. And going to the school for what I was, I wanted to be a sex therapist and a psychologist, and she was like totally supportive of that. But then when I went to LA, she was supportive of that. And when I wanted to be a hypnotherapist, she was supportive of that. She saw me going through my phase of just being like really into bodybuilding and wearing lycra and spandex everywhere, the hot pink and black outfits every single day. And then she saw me wear jeans and t-shirts everywhere. Then she saw me go through my phase of just wearing long skirts. And then she saw me go through my gothic phase. And she never once judged me for like these phases of ideas or phases of music. I mean, I went from, normal rock and roll, I call it normal, 50s and 60s rock or 70s rock to listening to gangster rap, to listening to gothic music, to listening to classic music. She saw me go through all these phases, all these weird little phases, where I would wear heavy makeup and then I went to wearing no makeup, like all the things physically outward, that was reflecting who I was inwardly. And she talked to me about who I was inwardly, and she just was supportive and very fascinated by all the different things I was becoming as I was with her. Like she didn't know anything about politics, and I saw her get very heavily in politics. And then, and I saw her go through her I have to wear nothing but business clothes phases, and she kind of got out of that for a while, and then she went back to a different form of business clothing, and the same thing with her makeup. She went through times where she just wore mascara and lipstick, and that was like her sheer makeup days. And I never judged her for that, and I never judged her for when she wore heavier makeup or when she stopped wearing makeup altogether. And these things seem really shallow, but I've had other friends that would judge me for having like a specific shade of eyeshadow and like giving me all kinds of hell for it. And it sounds really stupid, and it is really stupid, right? And this was like a long time ago, though, like in the 80s, in the 90s, the me generations, where everyone was like really worried about what people were doing and, if their weight went up or their weight went down. And remember, every time I went to my aunt's house, she'd look at my stomach and she'd be like, looks like you've gained 6 pounds. You probably should work that off. It's like, what the hell does that even matter? Like, thank you, I suppose. Are you trying to define me as a fat person? I wasn't like enormous, I wasn't like on the verge of a heart attack any minute, So it wasn't like she was worried about my health. It was more like trying to nitpick me, and I've had a lot of people around me earlier in my youth that wanted to define me based on, if I'm wearing blue eyeshadow or pink eyeshadow, or it kind of sounds stupid, and it is so stupid. But I've had people, I've been called I think a brazen hussy. My stepmother called me a brazen hussy. I was a virgin until I was in college, but for some reason now I'm a full-blown slut because I wore blue eyeshadow one day. So those kinds of weird things, like when people try to define you with the weirdest criteria, it has nothing to do with you. So I've had a lot of people try to define me from stupid shit like that. Today I've been trying to support this person's channel for like 3.5 years. I'll go and like put a little comment. I remember 3 years ago, he had like 11 followers and now he has like 539 followers, right? And he's been putting up videos like every day. And I am pretty convinced that he is schizophrenic, and he's created his own world and defined his own world with his own form of language and his own form of just the way that everything works, right? And he's really confusing. Like, he'll write scribbles on a whiteboard and show it to the screen saying, this is how the world is. And it just looks like the E's that went across the Hostess cupcakes, the chocolate ones with the white E's that went across. And he'd be like, and then he'd go really profound. He'd go, yeah. And it's like, nobody seems to see what I see, and I'm like, God, I've been praying for this guy for 3 years. And I never really joined the discussion until a few months back. I tried to ask for clarification on something. And I said, well, you said this, but I don't understand. And he kind of lashed out at me in a kind and sweet way, but he said, oh yeah, I see you, and in your energy you have this and you have that, and you have dark forces, and you're this and you're that. And he tried to tell me who I was. That wasn't true. And he tried to define me. And I think that, see, when you try to penetrate a schizophrenic person's world and you start poking holes in it, even if it's just very slight, if you say, okay, I see that you said that the sky was a fragmentation of blue, but it's actually just blue, or if they say it's a fragmentation of green mixed with pink, and you don't understand because you don't see what they do because they're better than you and they have a higher authority than you, and then you go, well, actually the sky's just blue. Everyone's pretty much agreed that what color you're looking at, that's called blue. And, they'll, come up with a weird explanation that's, using their own language, peppered in with language we know and understand, but it's complete gibberish. It makes no sense. And so I try to point out something to him that this is hard to understand. I want to know. And then he personally attacked me, but very sweet. I love you and I'm kind and I'm going to help you because you have this dark energy. You are this way. You have that. You have that. And you don't know how to speak with, he said, I don't know how to speak with God because I'm not there yet and I don't have the ability to love the way he does. And he said this to me 3 months ago. And I'm like, that's interesting. It's completely false. And I didn't allow him to identify who I am, right? Or define me. And then today I thought, well, I'm gonna listen to his stuff is so wild and out there, and not one sentence he says has any sense at all. And he'll take words out of context and use the wrong words. like he was trying to say the word define today, and he said defile, you know. And I used the word illumined, which just means enlightened, basically. And he said, you're a part of the Illuminati. I'm like, no, I'm not. What the hell are you talking about? Right? And he said that he was an incarnated archangel. And I said, you know, there's a lot of us here. So am I. And then somebody else said, I had a dream that I was told I was an archangel just a couple days ago. And he said, let me check with Mother, Father, God. Oh, yes, you are an archangel, he said to her. And then to me, he said, again, you're full of darkness and you're surrounded by all this energy, and let me fix your energy for you because I'm the authority. And then he said, I'm 15,000 light years ahead of you. That's why you don't understand me. And I'm like, whoa. He's like, I know who you are. I know exactly who you are. And then I said, I am the incarnated Archangel Azrael, you know, and he didn't know who that is. He didn't understand that that means the angel of death, which a lot of people consider to be dark, right? And he's like, you're surrounded by darkness, and you've been in the wrong form of the light, and you're just like the formation of the particulate, you know, I can't even say the words he said because it makes no fucking sense. It was absolute gibberish. And he tried to define me, you know, and then I kept asking him questions, and other people would ask him questions, and he would answer all of theirs, and then he would attack me. And I know it's because I was pointing holes in his story. Like when he said, you're a part of the Illuminati, no wonder that makes so much sense that you're being part of that. And I'm like, I never said it's part of the Illuminati. I said that I had a dream that someone told me I'm illumined, and I was told that by a spiritual master. But he established in his world that only he has authority to speak to God, and only he has authority to hear God's voice, and only he can sit. And he literally said, I made up the round table with the ascended masters that sit with me. And boy, we have the best meetings. They start talking about it. I'm like, the idea of the round table, you're like, what, 30, 38? You know, the idea of the round table is like from a few hundred years ago. You know, it was with King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. It's a legend in England. Like, you didn't make that up. You know, and he says he made it up in the future, 15,000 years ahead. He was like insane, right? This guy's insane. And I'm like trying to send him love and light. And I always say, well, you know, I send you love and light. And I see all these people, like 17 people jump on his calls. And he's like, he says to me, you haven't taken all the classes and you need to PayPal me and you need to write me. So I wrote him an email, and I wanted to ask, I told him a few things about me. I live in Ecuador, and I was told when I was in Guatemala that I am incarnated as a human, but I am originally the angel of death, and that it just resonated as true, and it rang true, and it's never stopped ringing true since I heard it. And since then, I have had more confirmations of that, and it makes sense. It's like I've been working with dead people my whole life, and animals have like birds have flown up to me, and like act like they're sick or weak, and I go to touch them and they die in my hands. It's happened like 3 or 4 times. It's like, I don't think that's normal. I don't think that's happened to like everybody on Earth. You know, I've had moths that were absolutely alive land on me and die immediately. I've had insects come to me to die. Birds come to me to die. Animals come to me and tell me via telepathy that they are dying, and they want me to be there for their owners to comfort them when they die. And then they ask me for Reiki for the energy to die. My father paid for me to go to his bedside so that I could give him Reiki to give him enough energy to die. Like, this is like a theme in my life because I'm Archangel Azrael, incarnate as a human. But I'm here to help humanity. I'm here to help all of you, you know, ascend, and I have, and I've been working for God since 2007. I haven't made a move without asking God first since 2007, and if this guy knew who I really was, he would have seen that immediately. And then when I said I have a podcast, he's like, oh, good. It's nice that we use our voices. And it didn't really irk me because I know this guy is mentally not 100% coherent. But I wrote him a private email and he said that I have to pay him $150. And then he gave me like 5 or 6 paragraphs of complete gibberish as to what the money would be for. And I'm like, can you possibly write to me in language from 2020? I mean, you really, if you really live in the future, mostly, like, I can still see your body because you're in the present. And, it's ridiculous. He leads these people through these fantasy worlds with him, and they believe it, and they go along with the ride. And that's just his trip, and that's just their trip. And I see that a lot of the people that are talking are normal, but they think he's so smart because the words he uses are big words. And so they're trying to get on his vibe, trying to figure it out. And he chided me today for not having been there with all of his quote-unquote lessons. And I've talked to God about it, and God told me, yeah, he's definitely schizophrenic. I'm like, I'm just asking you, please send him love and light, right? But he tried to define me and chide me in front of the whole class, right? And I was just like, whatever. This guy's ridiculous. But I'm just saying him love and light. And I literally did a reading on him. And the card that came out of the deck was the power card. And I said, oh, so he's on a power trip. And God said, yeah, he's on a power trip. And then I reshuffled the deck. I slapped the deck 3 times like I do to get the energy out. And I shifted my energy, did a meditation real quick. And I asked a different question. Then the power card came out again. And I said, are you talking about him? And God said, no, this is about you. And I said, okay. And I closed my eyes and I channeled God for a few. And I said, okay, tell me. And he said, don't ever let another human being define you, because they can never know who you are. Only I know who you are. Only you know who you are. But who you are to you changes as you define and redefine and reinvent yourself in every moment. And he said, all the things that you've done, all the things that you've been, were all necessary for you to come to where you are now. And where you are now is necessary for where you're going next. So I thought that was important. And I'm like, what about the times I was like super shallow and like thought I was such a good person, and I was really judgmental and kind of mean, and I didn't realize I was being mean. From my perspective, I was being very lovely and sweet. And maybe I was a bitch when I was 18. I don't know. I wasn't mean outwardly to people, but boy, was I mean inside my mind. And now I try to have love and compassion and understanding of all people. I mean, sometimes I slip up now and again, but for the most part, that's where I'm at. It's who I am. And God said, but that's okay. You needed to be that because you were still asleep. And you need to be able to look back on that and see where you were wrong. And then he was showing me, he's like, look at all the times people in your life tried to pigeonhole you, put you in a box, define you, tell you who you were, tell you who you're not. I mean, I've had people tell me, you're nothing special. You're not special. Like, well, I know you're wrong, because my mom always told me I was special. It doesn't mean that everyone else is not special. I know that everyone's special in their own way, and I always knew that. But for someone to come along and say, you're nothing special, what that tells me is he knew or thought about himself that he was nothing special. Because his parents told him that. And my parents told me the opposite. And so I sat with this person for 4.5 months, every single night, praying over him while he slept, doing the Ho'oponopono process so that he would know how special he is. And so that he would treat other people as if they are special. and I allowed him to be who he was, and I gave him unconditional positive regard. And he I think he was a narcissist. He might have been a sociopath, but I mean, the only thing that I was there in his life to do was help him to believe in God. And then he ended up believing in God at the end. And he still ended up in his own personal hell for a long time. And then he died and ended up in his own personal hell, in actual hell. I don't have confirmation he died, but I mean, maybe I went into the future and saw him in hell. I don't know. One person I thought had died, actually, it turned out he's still alive, which is kind of cool. So, I don't know. I mean, I've been hopping so many timelines, you guys. It's ridiculous. I feel like sometimes I hop into the future, but I mistake it for the present, because it's like time has become unstuck in me for the most part. Like today, I was in bed, woke up at like 10 in the morning, no, 9:30, something like that. And I wasn't tired, but I had these these pads on the bottom of my feet that you have to leave on for 7 to 8 hours. So I'm like, well, I'm going to stay here in bed till I went to bed at 4:44 a.m. So I'm going to stay in bed till 12:44 p.m. And so that's why I listened to that schizophrenic dude's 2-hour nonsense rant, and I was just incredulous that all these people are following him and acting like they understand what the hell he's talking about, and nothing he said made any logical sense. I mean, and everyone is in their own world, and I'm like, is he just like the Pied Piper of schizophrenics, and he's calling all the schizophrenics to follow him and be in their own trippy world, and they can all act and pretend that they're all together? Like, it's like some kind of crazy imagination play going on. And it was like that. I mean, as a person with a degree in psychology, I was finding it extremely fascinating. I wanted to take it a step further, so I contacted him after to see where he would go with it. And he still had that strange language that was just, it wasn't jibber jabber. It wasn't like words that he made up. It was words that exist in our language, but the way he strung them together, like no verbs. I don't know. It's just, I'm hearing God saying there's no object, there's no predicate, there's like no verbs, or the verbs that are there are not clearly defined. There's no noun, like there's no adverb to describe a verb. Like, it's just crazy. His stuff is crazy. It's a bunch of words strung together that if I read it to you, it'd hurt your head. It hurts my head. I just send him love and light. I know he's sick, and I'm trying to get him, to open up to the possibility of speaking normal. And I know he can. And he's not. Yeah, all right. God just said, wash my hands and unsubscribe. I'm like, all right. He said, you did your duty with him, and right, thank you. I'm actually going to channel God for you guys tonight, by the way. I don't know if it's going to be on this topic or not, but anyway, the point is, obviously, is just don't let anyone define you, no matter who it is. I mean, random strangers on YouTube or Facebook, so what? They don't even know you, you know what I mean? If you're not going to invite them over to Thanksgiving because there's someone extremely special to you that you care about preparing an 8-hour meal for, don't allow anyone like that to define you. They're not coming over to your house for Thanksgiving dinner, or they're not going to be there, 6 o'clock in the morning on Christmas morning to open presents with you. Then their presence should never have to bother you, because they don't even really have nothing to do with you. They really have nothing to do with your life, except for the 10 minutes you found to argue with a stranger online or whatever, and or say something and now you're into it or whatever. It's kind of silly. I feel like I really shouldn't have engaged this person for 2 hours today, but I got fascinated by it. And plus I'm waiting for my feet thing, my feet pads. But anyway, I got into the shower today, and I had 3 times I had to get out of the shower and turn on the faucet to get the hot water to come back up to the 3rd floor. It's just an issue. It's an ongoing issue here. Like, when we get hot water, the 3rd floor, it's really freaking hot. Like, unbearable, burn your skin hot. So it's like, then I have to put it between cold and hot with there's one lever that goes between super hot and super cold. And then you have to go somewhere in a happy medium, but that's when you lose the hot water. So it's like this weird kind of balance. But during this insane rigmarole, I listened to exactly 12 minutes of music. I listened to like 3 songs by The Cure, a song by Billy Idol, and a song by Tears for Fears, because I was in an 80s music mood. So I get into the shower about 12:50 after taking the pads off my feet and wiping them off, because a lot of toxins came out of my feet today. Seriously, honestly, if you ever do the bamboo vinegar or the ginger pads from China, you put them on the bottom of your feet for 8 hours every day, and it drains toxins out of the bottom of your feet. The bottom of my feet actually are whiter. Not like I needed that, but they're brighter in color. It's very odd, because a lot of the toxins were, and I didn't notice. You can't look at your feet and go, "Ooh, look at all the toxins." It's not obvious. But I noticed that I had cellulite on my legs and my hips, and like 80% of it's gone now in 5 days from draining the toxins. I'm like, this is actually pretty cool, and it does work. So I'm going to buy more. But anyway, so I was taking the pads off my feet, and I get in the shower, and like I said, it was like 12 minutes in the shower. So from 12:50 to 12 minutes later is about 1:02. And then I dried off and I got dressed, and suddenly it's 3:40 in the afternoon. Like, what the fuck happened? I didn't do anything except dry off with the towel as fast as I could, and I got dressed. So how the hell do I have 3.5 hours missing time? But I do. And I asked my higher guidance, and apparently I was abducted. And then later, I went down, and all of a sudden, 2 hours passed. I had 2 cups of coffee, and that was 2 hours. It's like, I don't know what's going on. And then I just got really into my own head. I didn't even do school today. I was really tired. Spoke to my son for maybe an hour, but, all told. But I think I was missing another 3 hours. I think I was actually abducted twice today for 6 hours total. Just like my day just went by. Like, I'm looking at this 2 in the morning. It's 2:11. And I don't know what the hell happened in my day. But I do know that I was shopping, and as I was shopping online, I had this issue with, I was like looking up all the things I need for my Udemy classes that are upcoming that I'm going to start making. But I'm buying the high quality microphone and the high quality HD camera, and I already bought the light. I already have the light, because I want to make high quality videos that hopefully you guys will be interested in taking my classes on. I'm going to do one on reincarnation and how to, by the end of the class, your objective will be to actually remember your past lives. Not just one, not just have a psychic go, "Ooh, I think you were Cleopatra's, handmaiden," or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't tell anyone who they are. I don't define anyone who they are, but I teach you how to find out who you are and who you were before and how that defines who you are now. And that's what I'm going to do in this upcoming class. I've already written the class. I'm still trying to write the handouts, because there's going to be homework and handouts and things that will help you. And I'm going to try to build a home studio so that hopefully I could have higher quality sound. As you could tell, the rain is raining, and the other day we had rats, and of course there's artifacts like ghosts and spirits and fairy folk come and say things while I'm talking. I don't even know what's going on. But anyway, yeah, so I was doing all this stuff, getting all the equipment, and I got it all together, and I looked at my total, and I'm like, holy crap. So I deleted a few things out of the cart, and then I went and found cheaper things and replaced things and did a bunch of things, and then I got a coupon for $10 off, and yes, and I look at the total, I'm like, wait, what? And I went back, and all of the things I'd done research on, all the electronic equipment, every single one of those things, suddenly the shipping was like $6 more. Suddenly the equipment was $10 more. Suddenly, this one little cord was like $4 more. And I'm like, I feel like I just hopped a timeline. Because how is this possible that every seller, and they were all different sellers, all of a sudden they all raised their price? Like, what? Maybe Wish is just screwy? I don't know. So but my shipping handling's like $100. So now I'm going to be going to Amazon tomorrow, and I just don't need to give Bezos any more money than he's got. But I'm going to go check it out because, shipping, orders over $20, shipping's free, right? So now I've got to go do the research tomorrow on these things. And it's like, oh my God. But I'm trying to get these things before September 10th, because I've got to get a job, I've got to start the job, I've got to have approval to work, and I've got to get everything going before October. So I'm just like, I can only get a shipment like the 10th of September, and then October 10th. It's like the 10th of every month, because whatever I have sent to Florida can only be brought to me once a month by this valet service, because my life is freaking complicated. So I don't know about you guys, but my day felt like it was 3.5 hours long, and I've been up for like 16 hours now. So what the hell happened? I felt tired. My throat was itchy and sore and swollen, and it's been crazy. Anyway, I need to go to space weather, but I'm going to pause this for a minute and just see where I'm at with that, because I forgot to queue everything up. I've been scatterbrained for the past 2 hours. Like, I ate food and I felt like I ate nothing all day. I feel really weird. I didn't even have all my caffeine today that I normally have. And my son ate like half a week's worth of food in 2 days. So I hopefully he'll wake up 2 inches taller tomorrow. But I mean, it's been a very strange set of days. So we'll see what happens on space weather. Maybe that will help us figure it out. But all right, let me hold on for a minute, and I'll be right back. All right, so we got to get through this stuff quickly because I was too long-winded. All right, the solar wind speed today in this moment is 311.2 kilometers per second. This is on, of course, spaceweather.com. And so this is crazy. So sometime today, which was earlier today, or actually, no, Thursday, so it's technically tomorrow, because I think this website is made somewhere overseas in Europe or something. Anyway, we will be bombarded with a CME coronal mass ejection. It's about to hit Earth. We're getting ready for that. A solar storm cloud was hurled into space, by the slow motion solar flare. We mentioned it yesterday, but they do believe it's going to hit Earth today. There's going to be a surge of cosmic rays, as we already talked about yesterday. A plasma cloud is going to hit the south part of the planet. Oh, yay, where I live. I think it already hit, honestly. I've been feeling very weird all day. And it's going to graze the magnetic field of Earth, giving us a G1 class geomagnetic storm, which, yay for Aurora Borealis watchers. And there is a gorgeous picture of purple kind of reddish purple, magenta-ish, and lime green, and a little bit of yellow aurora borealis, if you want to go check it out on spaceweather.com. Very strange, eerie. It looks eerie to me, picture. The current cosmic radiation counts coming out of Finland, we're high. We've had, it's gone down by 0.1% in the past 48 hours. There has been a solar wind that's flowed out of the coronal hole on the equatorial part of the sun, the Ecuadorian part of the sun. Oh my God, it's like trying to get through it fast, and now I'm flubbing it up. Anyway, we're going to be hit with a solar wind on the 23rd of August. The noctilucent clouds are smaller and going away, sadly. And the All-Sky Fireball Network, or NASA's All-Sky cameras, have reported 24 fireballs seen over the United States today, with 22 sporadics, 1 Perseid, 1 Northern Delta Aquarid. And according to disclosurenews.it, in Italy, the Schumann Resonance was 17 hertz frequency, according to HeartMath Institute, which we're still 2 days behind with them. They don't have any available data right now. So I told you, things are strange. I just feel eerie and weird all day long. Earlier, about an hour before I was going to record the show, the rain was so loud. We had massive thunderstorms and massive lightning cracks in the sky. The booming, like, cannon sound was coming from the Catholic Church, and then all of a sudden all the sound left and the rain got quieter. It's quiet now, but it's still raining. And all of a sudden there was bullfrogs and those weird popping frogs all over. I mean, like, I heard 15 frogs outside my door. It was the most insane, cacophonic, symphonic, amazing thing, but also so strange. I was like, it made me feel weird and surreal, and the energy of it was just like dropping a tab of acid. It was like, I was like, whoa, and I felt like very much ungrounded and out of reality. And I have to say, like 4 or 5 times today, I actually felt like I was lifting up, like raising up. So hopefully that's going to happen soon. It'll be fun to levitate. All right, let's try to get through lesson 359. We've got 2 minutes remaining, so we're going to make this quick. acim.org is a Course in Miracles website. Here it is, lesson 359. God's answer is some form of peace. All pain is healed, all misery replaced with joy. All prison doors are opened, and all sin is understood as merely a mistake. Father, today we will forgive your world and let creation be your own. We have misunderstood all things, but we have not made sinners of the holy sons of God. What you created sinless, so abides forever and forever. Such are we, and we rejoice to learn that we have made mistakes, which have no real effects on us. Sin is impossible. And on this fact, forgiveness rests upon a certain base more solid than the shadow world we see. Help us forgive, for we would be redeemed. Help us forgive, for we would be at peace. All right, let's see if I could read the first statement again. Okay, yes, I can. I have time. All right. So again, the main thought of today's lesson: God's answer is some form of peace. All pain is healed. All misery replaced with joy. All prison doors are opened, and all sin is understood as merely a mistake. So So there you have it. That's the truth. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, I'm channeling Prime Creator for y'all, and I'm going to be doing that right after these messages. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you. All right, guys, I am a channeler that uses indirect method of channeling, which is basically just telepathy. I hear the person who I am channeling, or being, or entity, or master, or saint, or dead celebrity, or whoever I'm channeling, planet, star. I've channeled the sun, channeled the moon, channeled Gaia, the planet, the spirit of our planet. So whoever I'm channeling will telepath with me mentally, basically mind talking, and I hear it and I relay it to you guys in real time. And sometimes I'll try to mimic the rhythm and cadence, or sometimes the accent of what they're saying, and sometimes I will be overcome with emotion. If they are, I will mimic I will literally, not even it's not even mimicry, it's just I will feel their emotion, and I will be so overcome. Like if they're crying, I'll start crying. Because it's just like overwhelmingly emotional, because I'm an empath. So I try to channel the words and the energy and the emotion of the person that I am, basically relaying their message. I'm channeling. I do not allow people to take over my body. That just freaks me out, so I don't do that. And today we're going to channel God himself, Prime Creator. I just say God because everyone understands this word, but you can define the word the way you wish. I don't really like saying the word Jehovah so much. I don't know why. I just don't like the energy of that word. But, Ra, Yah, is that another one? I don't know. Allah. Most of the words like kind of rhyme. It's weird. But I've been working for God Himself since 2007. Since April 2nd, 2007, I gave my life over to the one will, basically. Not in a religious way at all. I was just by myself in my living room and crying because it was like, I'm trying so hard to work my life into the way that I want it. I'm trying to be a co-creator here on the planet. And I wasn't making the money I thought I should be making. I wasn't able to pay for, it wasn't even a lifestyle. I was just trying to put my kids in private school, and I was trying to do right by them. I didn't believe in public school system, and they ended up in the public school system, and it really kind of messed them up, and it was not the best situation, and it messed me up because it's like I couldn't make my life work. So I prayed, and I just said, look, God, you know what? I'm messing up all kinds of ways. My marriage was rocky. This is like towards the end of the marriage, and I couldn't make the money, and my friendships were all kinds of screwy, and I was just like, I don't know what the hell's happening right now, but you do. So I'm turning my life over to you. And ever since 2007, my life has gotten pretty freaking wild. In 2008, on April 2nd, exactly 1 year later, I filed for divorce. And I said, I don't know where you're taking me, but I'm going to go. And I'm going to trust. And it just got wild. And I mean, to the point of like in 2010, 2 years after I filed for divorce, 2.5 years, I had scripted, I wrote on the wall, not on the wall, but I wrote on a piece of paper, taped it to the wall. It said, God, please give me, I demand. I said, okay, with your permission, of course, I demand money that I don't have to go to a job to earn, but rather it's just given to me while I raise my kids and focus on them and focus on my writing. And 2 months later, my husband died, and I got his retirement, which is why I said in the first half. I mean, I didn't cause his death. That's on God. I didn't know he was going to kill off my husband or ex-husband. I didn't know. So that's what I mean. My life got wild. And then, like I said, one thing led to another. I ended up in Guatemala with my kids. And then we lived in Mexico, Detroit, Peru, Colombia, and Ecuador. I mean, when I say wild, this is where this road has led me. Now I live in Ecuador. And through the past 10 years, I've become a Heyoka lightning shaman. I have come into my own as a witch. I have learned that I am a human, but I used to be an archangel. I was the archangel of death. Made a lot of sense when I first discovered that. And I was crowned a queen of a castle that does not exist on Earth anymore 3 days after my mother died. And then I realized when my mother tried to tell me years and years and years ago that her great-grandfather was a king in Ireland, or somehow Grandpa was related to a king, and she wasn't quite understanding that. I realize now that I should have probably asked more about that. And I'm not related to her, so it shocked the hell out of me when I woke up one morning surrounded by fairies who were putting a crown on my head. And they said, and then they bowed to me and said, "You are our queen now." And I'm like, what? And I looked it up, and I'm the queen of Kilkersey Castle, which is literally 2 little teeny tiny pieces of rubble on the ground in Ireland because the castle no longer exists. And I have the Queen of England to thank for that. I think she destroyed the castle after she forced my family out and turned a lot of Irish people into slaves. And my family moved to the United States immediately. And Hoybert, my great-great-grandfather, I think, he's been in touch with me, and I'm like, yeah, but I wasn't even like related. Like, I mean, if things had gone different in history, would I be a queen? And he said, you would be a queen to me. I'm like, all right. And Hoybert was a very good man. He gave away all of his money to help his people. And I feel like I would have done the same, so I've been for 3 years trying to come to terms with this weirdness of that. Like, it's like I'm a queen without a castle, without any money. But all this stuff, so I'm trying to determine who am I, defining myself, right? So, but during this past 10 years, I have learned a lot about spiritual things, and I have learned how to channel, and I've started speaking light language, and suddenly I'm contacted by the Galactic Federation and all kinds of ETs. So this is who I am now. Who I'm going to be next year, who the hell knows? Only God himself knows. But I have been connected to him since 2007. And I hear his voice clearer and stronger than ever. We have many different conversations throughout the day. I am constantly praying. I have been constantly praying since, I think, about 2012. I mean, between 2007 and 2012, I prayed as often as I remembered. And since I turned Muslim, I converted to Islam and read the Quran, and it was like master training, saint training, even though it doesn't say that. It just feels like it is. Every few minutes while you're reading the book, it says, remember Allah right now. Remember Allah. So it's kind of forcing you into a position of always thinking about God, which I love. It's brought me closer to God. And here I am. So today, for you guys, I'm going to channel God. Because when I gave my life to the one will, it was so that I could be in service to all of humanity, anyone who needed to hear my message. And a lot of times light coats, downloads, upgrades come through my voice to you. If it resonates, then take it in. Make it yours. Define it as your own in your own way. And if it does not apply, just let it fly, as they say. All right, so without further ado, this is Prime Creator, and of course, beloved God, Father of all, you may begin your transmission. Greetings, it is I, your Prime Creator, or God, if you will. You could call me dear old Dad. You could call me Father. Whatever word makes you feel comfortable in your own skin as you say the word. Many people have an issue with religion, and I understand and get that. And you can't blame me for religion because it was man's doing all along. I have been here existing outside of religion and yet with inside religion, and many of you were tuned in and paid attention to the reading of the Kybalion this week, in which it said the all is in all and all is in the all. And this is absolutely the truth. This is the way that it is. My world is your world is my world. Do you see how this is also true? The world is beyond the world you see, and the world you cannot see is still contained in your world. You are an incredible species. You are an incredible multidimensional being. You are an incredible energy, and you are defined utterly by the vast amount of incredible love that you yourself cannot even feel. You yourself can be defined by many different paradoxes. In fact, most humans, most men, most women are filled with paradoxes. Even little children are filled with paradoxes. Toddlers will cry and rub their eyes because they're sleepy, and they refuse to accept when their parents say it's time for bed. It's time to put on your jammies. Little children will shout and yell and cry, and they do not allow their parents to define them in this moment. For from their perspective, they are grown-ups in small bodies, and they want to stay up. But they are indeed sleepy and need to sleep, but they do not allow anyone else to define their course of action, their lifestyle choices. They want to be theirs. So it starts in humans very, very much from the beginning, this defiant nature and the free choice that you are given has started very, very early indeed in you. And there are many paradoxes all over your world. There are paradoxes in your holy books. There are paradoxes in the stages of man. Babies wear diapers, and sometimes old men wear diapers. It's rather poetic and a little bit funny. Now, you don't have to wear diapers when you're an old man or an old woman, because maybe if you take care of yourself, that ought not have to happen. And possibly if you take care of yourself, you might not grow old. You don't have to get wrinkles. There's no law that says you have to. But if you take care of yourself and you move along the spiritual path in the correct trajectory, you are going to become one with your higher self. You are going to become one with sheer beauty, because beauty is tied to pure love, and innocence is tied to creation and the act of creating. Your co-creatorhood exists and lies within you, and yet in most of you it lies there dormant, because what you do instead of actually co-creating your world, defining and bending and shaping the matrix and time and space and the nature of reality and light bending to your will, instead of that, most of you spend your time anxious and worried that it's not going to work out. And you are passive, and you are riders on the train of life rather than the person defining what sort of vehicle you wish to ride in or drive for yourself. So you sit in the caboose of the train and you mope and you weep and you cry and you lament and you hope. And you push away your godhood, your divine selves, your creatorship, your gifts and talents. And you refuse to create a Ferrari, get in it, and drive as fast as you wish to. You sit in the back of the train in the caboose, and you act like a caboose. And why I'm telling you this is it's never too late. Tom Robbins said it's never too late to have a happy childhood. And I'm telling you, it's never too late to have a happy adulthood. It's never too late to define your life from this day forward with the freshness of a new dawn, with the aromatic beauty of the first springtime flowers. It's never too late to feel happiness and to start your days dancing, to wake up with a smile. It's never too late to have a happy relationship, even if you've been fighting for 30 years. It's never too late to start today, to be in the newness of you, the newness of you-ness, the beauty that exists within you. In many of you lies dormant. And when I say beauty, I don't always mean what your current ideas of beauty are, your outward appearance. I mean the beauty that comes forth when you pick up an instrument and create music that no one in the world has ever heard before. Or the beauty of creating a tasty dish that you're going to share with a loved one to bring them joy. That bite of culinary heaven that brings them one step closer to the God and the deity within. Some of you call these desserts sinful, which I find, well, rather hysterically funny. Anything that makes you feel joy and happiness could never be sinful in reality. Your world is always defined by your thoughts, your opinions, your lamentations, your worries, your fears. Why not stop in these moments and start to define your world the way you wish your world to be? All right, he's talking about me again. Oh, use me as an example. Blah. All right, go ahead. I'm open to you. Did you guys hear the ceiling right above my head make a noise when I said that? Confirmation. Elena has a desire to be wealthy, have abundance, be rich. And her reasons are not shallow, but she worries her reasons are shallow, or that they would appear shallow to others, because she honestly just wants to have a nice life with nice things, but stability is the reason, because she does not like change. She does not like being blindsided by life. And I have put her through her paces and have blindsided her many, many times so that she would come to the realization and understanding that I always have her back. And that's one of the things that she struggles with, is her ability to make that abundance and that wealth happen in her life. And because she struggles with it, she struggles with the worry and the anxiety and the fear and the swirling pains of doubt and the painful memories of going without and the moments of shame when her children needed something that she could not provide. So we're using this as an example for the world right now, that when you want something so bad and then you're not getting it and you're not understanding why you're not getting it, and then you fall into a deep pit of hopelessness and despair, when you fall into anxiety and worry and doubt, and then complaints start to happen, discussions start to happen. Some of you might even join discussion groups about why the thing you want isn't happening. Some of you go to groups. Some of you go to therapy. Why don't I have a relationship? And then you spend 6 months up to 10 years in therapy. Why don't I have a relationship? Why am I bad at this? Why am I bad at that? Why can't I talk to people? Why am I bad at relationships? And then when you focus on that, that's the energy that you create in your world. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it becomes a part of the energy that you focus on. You hold on to it. You swirl it into like a big marble, like a big lump of clay on a potter's wheel in front of you. And instead of shaping it into something useful and painting it, it's like you're sitting there saying, why is this lump of clay still a lump of clay? Why hasn't it changed to a different color yet? How come it's not blue? Why isn't it white? How come it's not purple? How come there's no grooves or ridges in it? How come it's not already fired and perfect and beautiful? How come I can't put flowers in it yet? Why is it still a lump of clay? I mean, if that was what your life was, how silly would you think that would be? If a group of people got together every week on Tuesdays at 4 to discuss why this lump of clay is still just a lump of clay. Wouldn't you want to walk into this group and scream at them, please, touch the clay with your hands, add water to it, turn the spinning potter's wheel on, mold it and shape it and create it into the vessel that you desire. I mean, that sounds insane, does it not? That you would not put yourself, if you were in that position with a lump of clay, would you just complain about it for the whole hour or for a week or for 10 years? Or would you dig right in and create the vase of your dreams, the vessel of your dreams? And yet you live in the most sacred vessel that I could ever give you. Your body is your vessel. Many of you just sit around complaining that your body's just a lump of clay and that your life is going nowhere, and you have failed to turn on the potter's wheel of your life and get yourself really going. And you have failed to put your hands in the mix, as it were. There's a saying, I don't know that I agree with it necessarily, but maybe a part of me does, since I am all. that idle hands are the devil's playground. I should like to change it up a little bit and say that hands that don't do any work at all are nobody's playground, because your hands aren't even playing. They're doing nothing. Take your hands and do with them something constructive. Take your feet and walk in the direction of the dreams that you have been complaining about not having. Stop complaining about what you don't have. Stop worrying and doubting. I know it's easier said than done, but it's time. You have entered into a part of creation that will bring you everything you think about, desire, whatever you want. And it's gonna happen rapidly. And I'm telling you, directly to your soul, it's time to stand up and be counted the way you want to count. This life needs to count for the way you want to count, because you're never going to go back to the third dimension again. You don't have to. If you really, really want to, I might allow it, but you don't have to go back to the third dimension. You don't have to struggle the way you were. And if you are still struggling, that's because you're still holding on to the old 3D patterns, the old third dimensional patterns that exist in your psyche, because you're still not done complaining. When are you going to be finished? When are you going to be finished talking trash about your life? When are you going to make art? When are you going to create that symphony? When are you going to dance that dance of sheer joy? When are you going to laugh from the belly? When are you going to eat that fabulous meal that you've been thinking about for months, if not years, that you've been putting off because you can't afford it, even though you know full well in your heart you've been able to afford it for years? It's time. If you've been looking for a sign, I am the Lord your God giving you a sign. Your sign has arrived. Your vehicle you've been living in your whole life. Use the vessel. Create and shape it the way you wish. Make it beautiful. Make your life beautiful in your definition of beauty. You have free will. For some people, it's living in an all blue house. For some people, it's living in a white tent. For some people, it's bouncing around from hotel to hotel for 40 years, seeing the whole world. For some people, it's living in a simple house on a farm. For some people, it's living in a glorious mansion at the beach. Whatever defines the best possible life you can live, it's time for you to accept it. Know it can be yours, and you will never take away from any other human being by wanting more and having more, being more and doing more. Because it's up to them to create their life too. And if they ask, you can share the information. If they want to have help creating the life of their dreams, then by all means share with them the information on how to do it. The best thing I can say is start today. Grab a piece of paper or a notebook. Doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to wait 3 weeks till you get the perfect journal. Just write on a napkin if you want, as long as you know that you're going to keep it for a while. Write your top 3 descriptions of a fantasy life. Okay, now he's saying he's going to take from my life again. Okay, go ahead. So what are my top 3 descriptions, God? What do you know about me? You know me better than I know myself because you created me, so let's do it. So he says, okay, life number 1. Fabulous condo at the beach with a private swimming pool, or perhaps a house, along with all your fabulous beach house dresses. Long, flowy, breezy, romantic, blue, white, turquoise outfits, fancy nail polish to match, going to the salon to have your hair done, sometimes on occasion, having someone professionally do your makeup, wearing beautiful dresses and sweaters that kind of drape off the shoulder a little bit. Very feminine, very flirty, very innocent. And walking along the beach as the sun sets every day, feeling the sea breeze against your face as your hair flows behind you. And ideally with the love of your life. That's fantasy number 1. Fantasy lifestyle number 1 that I am trying to create, you guys. God's right, this is my life, and that I wish to have at least part of it, or at least part of the time. It could be on an island, it could be on the coast. I prefer the Pacific coast, but it's okay if it's in the Atlantic and the Caribbean, if it's not too hot. Parts of the Caribbean are unbearably hot, and parts of the Caribbean are actually quite nice. Nice, pleasant breeze. And too far south to be affected by hurricanes also. That's our criteria. But even in Italy, even in France, I don't even know where I want to live, but I do want to be at the beach part of the time in my life. I love the beach. Not to suntan, not to wear a bikini like ever, but the long flowy dresses. And God's right, this is something I think about a lot. All right, so, okay, what's another lifestyle ideas? This is to stimulate your own ideas, guys. So you probably don't like this idea or lifestyle. Some of you might want to be in Miami and practically wear nothing, like floss. Dental floss, as they call it in dental floss bikinis. That's what they call it in Peru. They say floss. Do you wear floss? It's like, what are you talking about? No one wears floss. It's what you use to clean your teeth. It's like a slang term, and they say hilo. Tiana's hilo. Do you have floss? It's like, what? Does my breath smell? And they're like, no. And then they mean a string bikini. It's hilarious. Anyway, so, okay, what's the next one? What's the next one, God? What's another lifestyle idea? And you guys might want to live in a cabin in the woods and where it snows, because you love making snow angels and snowmen and coming in after a long day of skiing and chopping wood to like opening up hot chocolate, like just having that hot chocolate from a roaring fire while listening to maybe jazz. That sounds wonderful to me, but only for like a week or two a year. Yeah, it's not my lifestyle, but it's something I would love to do for, once in a while. Maybe Christmas time, or maybe in January, start the new year like that. All cozied up. I love to cuddle. But whether it's by myself, the nice big blanket, or with, hopefully my twin flame will be with me. We could do that together someday. But, all right, so what's another lifestyle? That could be another example of what to focus and think about. Okay, this is God talking again. Working in service of others. Working to create strong, powerful, positive changes for people, and helping them to define their life through learning English. That will give them a second language and help them be strong individuals by boosting their confidence and their personal morale, and bringing them to a new level of understanding of themselves. giving them the positive benefits of having inner strength, knowing they could do something that's really hard, and never correcting them in a harsh or mean manner, but encouraging every day in every way, encouraging them and giving them an energy of love and positivity. So he's telling me this directly, but he wants you to hear it. He says, Elena, even if you are wealthy, which if you play your mental cards right, you will be. It is coming. He says, I could see that you would still wish to work with children. And he says, I see you wanting to work with children in China because they're in a communist country. And when they see you in another country speaking another language, it's going to give them the energy of there is a new way, there is a different way. And the children learning English in these moments, this generation of children coming up, are not going to be like their parents and grandparents before them. They are going to bring about a new, open, democratic China. Holy crap, really? Okay, this is not my idea. This is what God's telling me. And it's something I was never defining it to this level. I see it now. That's true. He says, your ability to love everybody on the planet and to love others so deeply and so powerfully is what will help them change and define themselves in a different way, and it'll help them change their minds about themselves. When they didn't think they were special, you will bring that specialness to them. You'll bring them to a level of bringing the awareness and knowledge so that they can acknowledge their own specialness within them. But you will lead them to their own conclusion without telling them what the BAM moment is. He's saying that because I mentioned Emerald today to my son. I said, hey, look up Emerald. I think you'll like this chef. He's cool. My son has never heard of Emerald. So, all right. So, wow. So that's lifestyle number 2, which is defined by a simple career. Yeah, that brought tears to my eyes for sure. Okay. What's another example? All right, he says, okay, somebody out there wants to be, and he's not talking about me anymore, guys. Whew, spotlight off me. Okay, now what? He says, there's someone out there who wants to clothe the world in a way in which they bring warmth to people's hearts by bringing warmth to people's bodies, and they want to manufacture high-quality organic wool and cotton, and sometimes with a poly blend, sweaters. I don't know, one of you guys have been thinking about this. And God says, don't sit around and think that this is trivial, because it's just a sweater or whatever, and sweaters already exist in the world. Your sweaters and your energy and your thoughts and the way that you wish to make these things is what's going to make all the difference in the world. So maybe he's saying one of you out there wants to learn how to rollerblade, and you've been putting it off because you keep thinking it's so trivial, or you might fall, you might get hurt, but you've been really thinking about it. He's showing me a guy with dark hair, and your skin has kind of a red tone to it, and you're always clean shaven, and you know who you are, God says. And he's saying, just strap on the helmet and the knee pads and the elbow pads and put on those rollerblades and go out there and do it. Life's too short to not go rollerblading. Life's too short to not sail your sailboat or rent a sailboat for the day, if that's what you really want to do. Life is too short not to go deep sea fishing once in your life. Create and define who you are. Create and define for yourself the lifestyle you want. And you don't have to justify wanting to be something that other people consider shallow, because that's allowing people to identify you or define you. If you want to be an esthetician, he's saying like not cosmetology, cosmology, no, cosmetology, like not the one dealing with the stars, but the one dealing with makeup, because I mentioned makeup earlier, so he's bringing this up. So okay, go ahead, God. He's saying, all right, if you want to be an esthetician, there it is, I think that's the word, and you want to do people's makeup, understand that you're going to help people put their best face forward. You're going to help them to feel confident and look confident. And that's going to allow their inner self to shine. So that's not a shallow thing. If you want to do hair, that's not a shallow thing, because people's hair is very personal, and it is a defining quality. It's an outer appearance for who they appear to be on the inside. And it is a facet of the personality that can be seen visually. And you are not shallow. Those of you who are actors, those of you who wish to be actors, it's not a shallow profession, because you pull people out of their reality and give them a broader perspective of the world, and you help them to define who they are through the roles that you play, and you bring them to a catalyst when they need to cry. You will help them through that emotional hardship in a safe way. That is not he says that's not small potatoes, guys. That's not something that's just shallow. To want to be an actor is a noble profession, because if you make it big, you show the world your world. And the spotlight is not just on you when you're on the soundstage, it is on you 100% of the time. And you allowed that because you are brave, and you show your bravery to the world, even if you don't feel brave. And you are the biggest sharers. Even if you're very private in your private life, you still share who you are with the world by being in that spotlight and by allowing yourself to be followed around by the paparazzi. There is nothing shallow when I look at all of you, no matter what you're doing. There are professions that are obviously very deep, being a teacher, being a nurse. And God bless you, the nurses, Elena always says, almost every day, every 2 or 3 days, she says to me, God bless the nurses, bless the doctors, bless those on the front lines. I do, guys, I do. I worry for all of you. Worry for everybody. He says, and that's the problem. Okay, thanks. Now God's calling me out. Great. Okay, go ahead. He says, stop worrying about people, because people are always going to be okay. Whether you live or you die, you never are not you. Your body is temporary no matter what. So don't worry about whether it's going to last another day or another week or another decade or another 50 years. You never lose anything. You're always going to be with people. You could be with people here. You could be with people in the next life. You're never going to be completely free of other people. You're always going to have your loved ones with you, one way or another. So stop worrying about yourselves, in your whether you're going to die or not tomorrow or next week or whatever. Stop worrying about other people, whether or not they're going to die next week or next month. Stop worrying about them, because that worry is a negative blanket. It's like a wet blanket on your life that you don't need. No one needs a wet blanket. I mean, unless your house is on fire, but that's another story. Oh, thanks God. That was funny, actually. He showed me a picture of Linus, and then he showed me like the cartoon Linus from Peanuts, and then he showed me a house that's on fire, and then Linus sitting under and sucking his thumb under a wet blanket. That was the image he just gave me. It was hilarious. All right, so what else, God? What else do we need to know? From this day forward, just write down 3 goals that you want for your life. And there was, in the movie The Secret, a phrase, I am so happy and grateful now that. And that is only one little jumping off point. That's a starter sentence. So you could say it's a mansion on the beach. Or it could be a tent in the woods, cabin in the woods, doesn't matter, lake house, whatever you want. You know, just maybe you want to go to Thailand for 6 weeks, whatever your goal is. Write it down. Just write it down. So, the first part of this exercise, you write down, how about beach house? That's the easiest one, right? For me, because it's my goal, right, guys? So I'm saying beach house. So God says, all right, let's go with that beach house. So you just write the words beach house. Don't say I want, I need, I hope to have, I wish for. Just say beach house. Or you could say private island, private jet. Or, but don't let it be so vague and so big like world peace. Because it's not up to you to create world peace. It's up to you to create personal peace. And if the world wants to catch on to your idea, it's on them. It's up to other people to create the world peace. Because every piece of the world needs to agree on the peace of the world. That makes sense. So there you go. Yeah, thank you, God. I'm Elena, me saying, that makes sense, God. And God's like, yeah, thank you. There you go. All right. So this is the first thing you do. You just write very simple, beach house, or whatever your goal is. The second thing, if you want, you could say, I am so happy and grateful now that I have the beach house. And then from this day forward, every day, I want you to think of between 3 and 5. No, let's make it 3 and 6. 3 and 6 things that you're so happy that you have in your life, and imagine and visualize. So, along with the beach house theme, you'd say, I'm so happy and grateful now that I have my own beach house. And now you're going to say, the sunshine on my face felt wonderful today as the sun set over the ocean. And then the second thing might be, I loved the way the cotton dress, if you're a woman, or whatever, if you're a man, fill in the blanks. But I'm so happy the way the cotton dress flowed along my legs. It made me feel free and alive. I loved the way the ocean touched my feet. I enjoyed watching that crab scuttle across the beach. These kinds of things. And every day come up with new bits and pieces of the imagery. I'm glad I was able to create the best fruit salad I've ever had, and that I was able to share it with friends in my beach house today. So every day, write and it could be on a napkin. It doesn't have to be fancy, but if you have a notebook, that's okay too. Even a legal pad would be nice. Just write every day all the different things about the beach house. And do that when you wake up over coffee or, after breakfast. And when you go to bed at night, read through every bit of it. So that when you fall asleep, you're going to dream about it, think about it, bring about it in your reality. This is going to be the easiest way for you to do it. Start now, start today, start tomorrow morning. Think about one thing you want and work on it until you have it. And then go with the next thing. Whether you want to have a child, or you want to be married, or, you want a better education, or you want to move to a foreign country. Maybe you want to learn Russian. Maybe you want to learn how to bake bread. Maybe it starts with, I need an oven. I'm so happy that I know the 20 different kinds of flour and how they react to yeast. Whatever it is, write down the things that you want as if you've had them now. And then when you're done writing those 3 to 6 sentences every day, close your eyes and imagine it's real. You have it now. Hold your hands over your heart and give yourself a little squeeze, a little hug, and know that this is a hug from your Creator to you. I am hugging you every day anyway. You hug yourself, you're going to know I am in everything and everything is me. Hug yourself, and that's me hugging you. Love yourself, and that's me loving you. And I give you everything. And there is nothing you cannot have. Especially if you stop the struggle and you go towards the light, the beauty, the joy, the energy of having and having more. And I want to tell you, don't ever feel guilty about having more, because when you have more and you have the energy of having more, that spreads faster than coronavirus. That spreads faster than California wildfire. That spreads faster than the most joyous laughter. That energy of having and being happy and filled with joy will spread to other people, and they will have more as a result of your having more. And when you have enough that you can share, people will have even more still. This is my message. I am your prime creator. I love all of you. I am grateful that you exist in the world. I am happy I created you, and I will always continue to give as much as you can handle. So start handling more. Create your vessel, create your life, create your vehicle, and just go. Go. Just go and be happy. Go forth and bring happiness into the world. Okay, he's ending the transmission. So there it is, guys. Law of attraction, huh? Creation and attraction. Well, you have your instructions cut out for you. I think I'm going to start mine right away, because this is actually pretty damn cool. I like this. Pretty darned cool. I like it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm vibrating and buzzing, and I have so much energy right now. More than I've had in a long time. I feel kind of put in my place, and I feel a little bit embarrassed that what I think about is, was shared in a way that it was, but those are things I do think about. It's funny, because when I think about having a career as an English teacher, I know teachers don't make that much money, but it seems like it would be very rewarding. And I'm still going to do my Udemy classes. And when I do that, I will make more money with Udemy, obviously. But I want to do both and continue, with my plans for writing my books and promoting it. And I feel like I'm going to release everything at once, and then you guys will see where I'm going with it. But yeah, I just feel like, whew, this is a good one. This is a really, really good one. I feel like a buzzing energy in my spine. It's a lovely, lovely energy. I hope you guys can feel it too. I hope you guys are feeling like, yeah, I can't wait to go now, baby. Get in your vehicle and go. Go forth in the direction of your dreams, guys. So anyway, there you go. You have it. I will be back tomorrow with all unique and original programming, just like always. And, well, there you have it. I love you guys. Thank you for being here with your continued faith and confidence in me, my abilities, and my show. Thank you for liking, subscribing, sharing, and telling everybody in your Facebook groups, every one of your Instagram followers, everybody through your YouTube channels. Thank you for telling all your neighbors about me, especially all the people that are newly awakened and awakening in their spiritual way. It really helps me, and it helps them, and it helps you too. So thank you for all that. I love you guys so much. Right now, though, guys, I'm signing off with peace and joy and the high vibrations of the Holy Fifth Dimension. Until next time, guys, peace. Happy August, guys. I wanted to extend to you my birthday special. I was born this month and I wanted to do something for you guys. Normally, my readings are $111 for a tarot reading or a psychic mediumship reading. That means I can basically help you talk to any of your deceased loved ones, your higher self, even God himself, or any of the ascended masters that you've always wanted to have a conversation with. What you need to do is just contact me at mermaidgirl888 on Instagram. Just direct message me and let me know you're interested in having the birthday special $88 reading. That is $33 less than my normal price. And as always, my cloud readings are also available at $33. So there you have it. Happy August. I look forward to hearing from you.